If you want to be more efficient and effective while experiencing more inner peace, then working on the core of your issues instead of putting on a Band-Aid is vital. Welcome to Life University podcast. I'm your host, Esty Rapport, and here to help you improve your 28 cognitive functions, the 28 things that make up thinking. In each episode, we'll discuss a real-life challenge, why you might be struggling with it, and give you practical strategies so all areas of your life will improve.
Why is it that no matter how many plans you make and how perfect your plan is, it doesn't work out? Or maybe you're not such a planner, but whenever you do try, it goes wrongly. Or maybe you don't even make detailed plans, but you have all these ideas of plans of what you want to do and how it's going to work. And it just doesn't work out for you. Why don't your plans work out? That's what's coming in next on the Life University podcast, episode 399. But first, want a super easy to understand, super easy to implement resource on the cognitive functions on the 28 thinking skills? Well, I've got you. Grab a copy of your essential guide to cognitive functions at lifepix.com/guide. It's LifePix, P-I-X, university.com/guide. For today's real life challenge, imagine you planned on being done a specific training by now. This is a training you've always wanted to do. You worked really hard on it. It's taken quite some time, and your hope was by now it would be finished. But it hasn't turned out that way. You still got quite a bit of training to go. Like most real-life challenges we give on the podcast, there can be many cognitive functions, many thinking skills related to why your plan is not working out. If you're new here, thinking is not one big thing. Thinking is actually made up of 28 cognitive functions, 28 thinking skills that affect most of our daily activities. With 28 of them, naturally, some of them are going to be stronger and some of them are going to be weaker. Those weaker ones are making it hard for you to do the things you want to do, including making and following through your plan. In order for you to make a plan and follow it through, you need to use many cognitive functions, many thinking skills, including holding a few pieces of information at once, understanding time, hypothetical thinking, categorizing, comparing, and having a need to make a plan, plus a whole bunch of other cognitive functions. But today we're going to focus on a cognitive function that you probably didn't think is related to having a need to make a plan. And it may just be the one that's making it hard for you to make plans that actually work for you. And that is the cognitive function of an episodic grasp of reality. In simple English, it means understanding reality, understanding what happens in life, understanding how life works, what happens if, what happens when, cause and effect, understanding the dynamics of life. Understanding reality is highly related and is like almost the same thing as conjunction words. Before, after, when, if, until. When you understand the meaning of these words, and more importantly, you understand how they show up in your life and how they affect your daily actions, you improve the cognitive function of understanding reality. A reason why your plans are not working out can be, I'm not saying it is, but it is very possible. It is because it is not understanding the conjunction words that are affecting your actions, not understanding what happens when, what happens if, what happens because of, right? All those things that it's like the understanding of how life falls out through. There's a gap in your brain between the idea, between your goal and the action that is being taken. That is where we are understanding the reality. Now, this does not mean you can't achieve your goals. I do not want anyone to walk away from this episode thinking that because of what they just heard, they can't achieve their big, massive goals. Sorry, I am not the one to tell you that. I believe you can set anything you put your mind to. What you may be missing is not the goal. The goal you've got, the goal you can get. What you may be missing is the actions that you need. You might not understand the full activity, everything that is going to need to happen in order for you to achieve that goal. Okay? You've got that? Good, because I can't move on if you don't understand that. You can achieve any single goal you want. You might have to do different activities or do it in a different way in order for you to be able to get there. So to really get better at this cognitive function of understanding reality, you'll want to study conjunction words, then, after, or, because, why, when, and see how they show up in your life. That's what it really is. Like, how is it actually showing up and affecting your life? So you could start off by actually studying it, check it up in the dictionary, specific conjunction words, write sentence with it. When I, then I, because I, right? Practice, just take one conjunction word and write 5 sentences with it, right? Or when your plans don't work out, this is like reflection, looking back. But when your plans don't work out, go back and see where was the gap? What was the conjunction word that you can put in to help you bridge that gap in your brain between what your plan was, what your idea was, and what actually ended up happening? We want to make that bridge. We want to make that conjunction. So back to our example, back to our real life challenge of not being done the training in time. We want to understand what is the gap. We want to understand the reality, what actually happened between your plan and why it didn't work out. What caused you not to finish it? Was it that there was emergencies that came up? Was it because you didn't give yourself enough time? Was it because every time you sat down to do the training, you got distracted? What was happening that made it challenging for you to actually finish that training? Okay. Now, it's not about excuses. It's about understanding your brain so that way next time you can understand and you can make that big bridge. You can actually build a bridge over that gap. Now, I know this is an abstract concept and it takes time to really internalize and understand, but you will get there. You have on one side, you have your plan, you have your ideas. On the other side, you have what actually happens. Understanding reality is making that bridge of what has to happen so that way you can go and achieve your goal. Gonna take time, but you will get there. Today, we focus on something you may not have thought of in the past. We thought about why your plans are not pulling through. And it's not just because you're not good at planning, right? It might be because you struggle with an episodic grasp of reality. You struggle with understanding reality. To get better at this, you want to be able to see the cause and effects, the conjunctions. You want to be able to see the bridge and how they show up in your life. So your challenge this week is 2 challenges, and I want you to be able to do both. The first one is to pick a conjunction word, any word, before, after, when, and make up 3 sentences that have to do with that conjunction word, that have that conjunction word in it. And the second one is think of a plan any time in your life that you had some sort of idea, some sort of plan, didn't work out, and see what the gap was. That is the episodic grasp of reality that you are now becoming aware to it. Because remember, you can't make any change if you're not aware. The wheels in your brain turning and improving that cognitive function. Now, really exciting. Next week, we are doing something really special for episode 400. Yep. Episode 400 is coming on up. So you're going to want to make sure you tune in because it's going to be something very different, something that we've never, ever done on the history of Life Picks University podcast, even when it called something else, because I don't know if you remember, but it used to be called something else. Speaking of what it used to be called, we are actually changing the name of the podcast again. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of debates. I've spoken to quite a few professionals, people in the podcasting space about it. I don't really love doing it because it's really easy to just say Life Picks University. Everyone knows Life Picks University. But the thing is, us in the Life Picks University atmosphere, in the Life Picks University universe, we know what Life Picks University is about. We know what we're talking about. We know what we mean when we say the Life Picks University. But new people on the outside don't know it. If they're just looking in and seeing maybe is this an interesting podcast, they're like, why should it be called Life Picks? Why is it called Life Picks University? Is this from some sort of like school? Is it a university in a random hick town somewhere? What actually is this? And we want to really grow this podcast so that way more people can learn about cognitive functions and can really understand themselves and understand the people around them. One of the things that we are doing to help us reach our goal of 1 million downloads per an episode by the end of 2025 is, yes, changing the name, even though it's not something that we really want to do. So starting next week, episode 400, it is no longer going to be called the Life Picks University podcast. We're going to call it the Business Brain. And I think that doesn't need a lot of explanation. That is way easier to understand what we are talking about. We're talking about the brain and its relationship to business and how your brain functions and making it really strong so that way you can run your business in the most efficient and effective way. So yes, starting next week, we are going to have the Business Brain podcast. I am so excited and I am so thankful for you to be here throughout this entire journey, all the way as we get up to episode 400. We're still going to have these episodes. It's still going to be in the same format. We're still going to discuss real life challenges and the cognitive functions, besides for next week, because we're doing something special for episode 400. But the rest of the time, it's going to be the same like it is now, just the new name of the Business Brain podcast, so people know it better. So don't be surprised when you see a new name. Now, if you want to really help us reach this goal of 1 million downloads per an episode, please do me a favor right now while you're listening to this. Hit the share button while you're listening. It literally doesn't have to take you extra time. And just share it with 2 people that you think can enjoy from now on the Business Brain podcast. Have a great week. I cannot wait to see you next week. Bye for now.
That's all for this episode of the Life Picks University podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can gain from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025. Have an awesome rest of your day and grow those dendrites.